complaint and frustration that I see on a daily basis in my practice, and that is difficulty with resistance to weight loss. And the thing to know here is that it doesn't matter if you're suffering with Hashimoto's or not. If you are suffering with a thyroid problem, guys, or an immune system-based problem like Hashimoto's, which can also create problems with your thyroid hormone levels, your thyroid hormone levels, if they're fluctuating, it's going to make it very difficult for you to lose weight, because if they go low, it's going to lower your metabolic rate. If they're erratic, then you can't get it's hard to figure out exactly what works for you, and you just have a very difficult time breaking through any types of plateaus that you might reach in weight loss, or really having any kind of consistent weight loss. The other thing is if it's autoimmune, you're dealing with multiple things that are creating this problem with weight loss resistance. And one of the most common things is inflammation. Inflammation as a whole, and by the way, if you're autoimmune, you have inflammation just as a byproduct of the inflammatory process, of the autoimmune process. You produce inflammation. So one of the best goals that I can recommend for you if you're trying to lose weight is to work with and try to utilize a diet that's focused on dampening the inflammation in your body. If you do that, you'll improve sensitivity to all your hormones. You'll improve your thyroid hormone sensitivity. So it means the hormone that you have in your circulation, your body will respond to it more favorably and more normally. Because when you have inflammation, it creates something called resistance, receptor resistance. The cells of your body just cannot utilize, and they're not sensitive to the hormone itself. So the other thing is you may not feel full when you should, because you can develop leptin resistance. Leptin is a hormone that's made that signals your body and your brain that you've had enough and that you don't need to keep eating, and it gives you that feeling of satiety, that fullness. And so if you have higher inflammatory loads or inflammation, you'll have decreased sensitivity and higher resistance to leptin. That's also, leptin and insulin are very closely related, because your insulin helps with your pancreas secretes insulin. Insulin's job is to lower your blood sugar. So if you have higher inflammatory loads and you are not as sensitive to the insulin, then what's going to happen? You're not going to lower blood sugar. That's going to actually promote higher insulin levels, and you're going to get stuck in this vicious cycle. And what will end up happening is you have higher inflammatory loads, because I'll tell you guys, if you didn't know this, insulin by itself, which is its job is to lower your blood sugar, right? And you guys have all heard about insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome, different diabetes, pre-diabetes, right? Well, that's when your insulin starts to go higher and your body's not as sensitive to it. When your body has higher levels of insulin and makes more insulin, insulin by itself, whether you're autoimmune or not, is inflammatory. It increases these proteins, which we call cytokines. They're made by your immune system. And when insulin goes up, you make more of these cytokines. And in particular with insulin, you make one called interleukin 6. Now, interleukin 6 is one that's inflammatory. It decreases sensitivity to your insulin. It creates what we call receptor resistance. So the receptors, all the cells of your body, imagine a bubble, and this outside the cell, the outside of the cell is called the cell wall. Now the cell wall is actually where all the communication of the cells of your body happens. Something attaches itself like insulin to a little receptor on the outside of the cell wall, and it changes the way that the cell works inside. So what happens is if you have resistance, then the cell just does not respond to the things in the environment as well. So when you start looking at all this and you see there's issues with weight loss, so I'll tell you guys, if you haven't done this, you would want to focus first on what? Dietary changes, right? An anti-inflammatory diet. Step one, right? If you haven't done that, that's a very, very good way to work on upgrading and decreasing inflammation and upgrading your nutrient densities and improving your abilities and chances of losing weight. That also helps to improve and stabilize a lot of the regulatory, the hormonal feedback and the hormonal systems. Let's just say hormone sensitivity in the body and hormone balance. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that you don't want to do calorie restriction when you're trying to lose weight, right? So many of you, and I know you have, because I've talked to thousands of people that have done this. I've seen it throughout in my family growing up. My mom did this all the time, and that's what we thought we had to do. We thought you had to you had to burn more calories than you ate. And to do that, you would create a deficit and you would lose weight. Now, there's so much more to the picture than that calorie deficit. What you need to do is you do not want to calorie restrict. Let me say that. You want to eat the amount of calories that you need to drive your metabolic processes, and so that your body does not think that it's starving, right? A lot of you have heard this. If you were to calorie restrict and cut your calories down to, let's say, 500 calories, like how many of you have done like the HCG diets, right? The shots or the drops where they cut your calories to 500 or 800 or sometimes even 1200 calories, something like that per day, right? And you lose weight, and it's everything's awesome. And you're like, well, we're resetting the hypothalamus' set point. That's what they tell you. Well, I have some problems with this diet because they'll keep you on it for months. A lot of times will be for months. And what will end up happening is that you restrict your calories, and your body will actually decrease your metabolism. And if you don't believe me, just look at The Biggest Loser. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they let's see, 6 years after participating, a lot of the contestants, their metabolic set point, right, this metabolic rate, was below what it was when they started. So they actually had lower metabolism after than before they even started doing anything with The Biggest Loser. Okay, they burn up to 800 fewer calories per day at their resting metabolic rate, called the basal metabolic rate. They burn 800 less now, because what did they do in The Biggest Loser? They restricted their calories, and they made them work like dogs. And you know what happened? They absolutely they shut down and decreased their metabolic rate, guys. It's permanent. That's why you don't see any Biggest Loser reunions, quite frankly, because it's almost impossible for these people to keep the weight off. It's very, very difficult. So you have to do it right, guys. So what you want to do is you want to eat enough calories. You want to eat all your calories. I mean, if you want to really look into other strategies, I mean, step one, and most of you just need to eat like an anti-inflammatory type of diet. You need to look into like an autoimmune paleo type of diet. You need to, we do that a lot. We use lots of different diets with the people that we work with, but autoimmune paleo's type of diet is a good basic recommendation. The next thing I would say is consider intermittent fasting, where you might skip breakfast, right? And I'm not giving you specific medical advice as to you individually, but this is something that might be reasonable to consider. So intermittent fasting, where you might skip breakfast for 5 or 6 days, but you're condensing your window of eating to like a 6 or 8 hour window, right? So you get all your calories, you don't restrict them, you don't skip breakfast and you don't eat those calories. No, you skip breakfast, but then you eat all those calories in your other meals. So you condense the window. So you intermittently fast, for 16 hours or so. And then what you do is, that's been an excellent strategy. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and that's a reasonable way. I will tell you this. So one of the things that I found that's even a big problem for people, we're talking about inflammation. We're talking about a lot of these different things that are potential problems, hormonal imbalances, thyroid hormone issues. But one thing that I can tell you for sure is a huge, huge factor. And the more obesity you have, guys, the more fat that you have around your organs, the more abdominal obesity you have, the greater your toxic load of chemicals that have been called and coined, the term has been coined, obesogens. Okay, obesogens. So they actually disrupt, and guess what? One of the things that these chemicals do, guess what? They decrease your body's sensitivity to insulin. Remember, I just talked about that a second ago. And when you have decreased sensitivity to insulin, what happens? Well, your blood sugar goes up, and that actually perpetuates and drives more insulin resistance, because your pancreas will pump out more and more. So getting rid of these chemicals, these obesogens, which, guys, there's all kinds of obesogens throughout our environment. We are all exposed to them. There's the numerous studies of just drawing blood from people that don't have jobs that are expose them to chemicals excessively. There's been studies of cord blood, the cord blood of mothers, to check to see what the baby's getting exposed to. And we're all getting exposed to hundreds of chemicals at low doses at one time. Never before in humanity has this occurred. And we know that a lot of these chemicals are endocrine or hormonal disruptors. A lot of them have been termed and called and classified as obesogens and diabetogens, because they promote diabetes as well. So you have to, and these things, they're fat they're attracted to areas of higher fat concentration. So what do? They actually absorb into your fat tissues, and that's where they are. So guess what we've got to do? We've got to start losing weight, start freeing up and using the fat for energy, dumping as we're burning the fat for energy that's stored all around your abdomen throughout your body. You're going to be dumping these chemicals into your body. You have to be actively working on detoxifying them and efficiently eliminating them, or you're going to auto-intoxicate and reabsorb them. And it's going to further perpetuate problems with weight loss. That's why I tell a lot of people, listen, if you're having a lot of problems, guys, if you can't figure it out, you need to get some help. You need someone that can guide you through this process and tell you what to expect, tell you what supplementation to use, what kind of testing you need to get done to identify specifically what's going on with you. So, that's something to consider. But I just want to let you guys know that there are a lot of different things, but there's some simple places to start that you need to do to help yourself. All right, so you can start with like an autoimmune paleo type of diet. It's the simplest thing, guys. That's the simplest thing I can tell you. And if you've already done that, or you've already tried that, and you haven't had success with it, or you lose weight and then you plateau, you need to get some help. You need some help, okay? So definitely look for and see if someone will help you. Now, there's lots of people that are out there that can help you, but I'll tell you what you need someone that practices functional medicine. Functional medicine, though, even within functional medicine, there's no, I want you guys to know, just like with a lot of different types of training, there's no official certification or anything for a lot of these different professionals that are meaningful. And there's a huge variation in understanding of different areas within functional medicine. So someone like me, I specialize in thyroid and toxins. Other people might specialize, specifically in like inflammatory bowel disease, like Crohn's disease or something, which I've worked with. It seems like every autoimmune condition we've seen it because they come in groups. But I'm really good at the thyroid hormone, the hormonal physiology, or at least I'm better there. And then with toxins, I have a lot of focus there on how to properly detoxify the body. So you've got to seek out someone to help you if you're having problems with this, okay? And guys, if you need help, I'll do everything I can to help you. But we work with people. I work with 2 to 4 people per month that I work with one-on-one, and then we work with people in groups. We take them through our detoxification program, our Hashimoto's transformation program, but we do that in groups because I am committed to learning I need to have time to really focus on learning and bringing new information to everyone, but then also really supporting the few people that we work with in our groups, and then also the one-on-one clients that I work with, taking them as far and optimizing their health as much as possible, because I'm really interested in genetics, in epigenetics, in genetic polymorphisms and SNPs. I'm very interested in toxins, and I'm very interested in human optimization, hormone optimization. And this comes back to this dietary thing too, this weight loss issue, because it's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with that whole combination, your unique genetic makeup. Might you lose weight with less fat? Why might a ketogenic diet might not work for you? So we can look at your genetics and give us clues as to what's going on. We can also look at the toxic load and see if that's affecting you. And then we can look at the hormones. And so those things together really give us it gives you a huge advantage on trying to figure out what you need to do specifically for your unique situation. Okay, so guys, I hope this helps you out. If you can't lose weight, you're plateauing, you're having issues. It's such a huge issue, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem because the more body weight you have, the more toxins your body is storing. There's no doubt about it. There's no question to it. If you're obese and the more body fat you have, the more toxins you are storing. You're exposed to those toxins whether you know it or not, and they're absorbing in your body. You're getting them from water, air, food, clothing, every single thing. These chemicals are used in everything, and you're absorbing them. So your toxic burden is going to be higher, and the more body fat you have. So we've got to get this stuff out of our bodies, guys. That's one of the really important things that I want to share with you guys and convey is that the toxic burden is killing us. And if you can't lose weight, we got to get this stuff out, and you got to do it the right way. So anyways, I hope this helps you out. Guys, please do me a favor. Help us help other people. Share these videos with other people. Share them with your family. Share them with your friends. Everyone needs to understand and know this. Too many people have been told that they're obese and overweight because they don't exercise and they eat wrong. You know what? You might do that, but there's a lot of people that do that aren't morbidly obese. They don't have all kinds of other health problems. There's more to this picture than just what you eat and what you do or don't do. Okay, so if you need help, reach out to us. We'll do everything we can to help you. I hope this has helped to improve your perspective and understanding some of these problems. Okay, I'll talk to you guys again really, really soon. If you please post your questions and comments. If you guys are doing things that are helping you, if you have questions about this topic, please post them here, and I'll try to respond to them and give you guys feedback, okay? Or my staff will. So I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Sorry I went so long, and I'll talk to you guys soon.